Time is 2:06 p.m. We're back on the record.
Okay. Mr. Conte, I just wanted to ask two questions to follow up on. Well, let me ask you first one. Did you ever speak to Mr. Mosley personally again after those meetings on the 26th?
No, I did not.
Okay, you only spoke to Mr. Hudson again?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear on the insulin. Was it your view that there was a plan for specific days that the insulin had to be used?
Based upon weight training days and to enhance recovery, so that would more or less be their call, even though they had identified a couple of days that there would be intense weight training going on, so those were notated on that original calendar. And there were to be more, but it would be based on the flexibility of their schedule.
So that there were certain days that they told you that they knew for sure that there was going to be weight training?
And that there would be, yes, or the type of training that would work with the use of insulin.
Well, what was I thought you said, and maybe I was wrong, that the insulin was something to be used when there was just a very intense workout.
Like heavy lifting, heavier workouts as opposed to lighter workouts. If you're doing speed bag stuff, you wouldn't need it. If they're doing weight training, I'm just giving you the extremes, and they're doing squats, for example, then that's something when you're...
How about if you're doing, say, 10, 15 rounds of sparring, which would be very intense?
It would help because your primary energy source is glycogen. You deplete glycogen, and that gets replenished by the transport of the insulin transporting the glucose back into the muscle storage compartment for energy metabolism. So yes, any type of training would deplete glycogen, and you're replenishing that.
Would insulin be something that could be taken every day?
There'd be no need to take it unless you were training and depleting glycogen storage.
Assuming that every day you're training running 5 or 6 miles, jumping rope, hitting sparring in the ring for 4 or 5 hours a day, would insulin be of value?
As an example, bodybuilders, some of them do use it every day. Boxers, I don't know that they would have a need for it every day.
Okay. But what would be the determining factor?
Once again, the intensity and the type of activity that would create micro tears and cuts in the muscle tissue, and that would be more on the days when he was lifting weights.
Or sparring?
Not sparring.
So only lifting weight days?
Those would be the days that insulin would be used on.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. Let me mark this as Exhibit 4. And is Exhibit 4 the calendar that you talked about?
It's the one that I created together with Shane, yes.
Okay. And at the top, there are letters E, L, and C. And am I correct that E is EPO, L is, well, actually, what is L?
L stands for liquid, and that's the clear.
Okay.
And
C is the cream.
C is the cream, and obviously they could, you had to differentiate with the C for cream, and so it was easy to identify that one was a liquid, one was a cream, so we called the clear, or notated the clear, by using an L.
And why did you put them up on top?
Probably in the beginning when we talked about this, I indicated these would be the codes, and then we would fill in the dates of the use of the drugs throughout the time frame building up to the fight.
Is there anything on the top of this document that reflects insulin?
Doesn't appear to be a notation there, no.
Okay. Now, if we go down to the 26th, it's circled, and that's where you have the word start. And you have liquid and EPO, right?
Yes, which is the clear and EPO.
Okay. And then you have 2 iron, 2, what's VIT?
It's vitamin C.
Okay, what's...
This page, I think, got cut off. It was out into the margin, and
okay.
once the government confiscated the documents and we got back in discovery, part of it's missing.
And do you know what the next one says?
Yes, it's FO. It says 1 folic acid.
Okay, and the next one?
Is 1 vitamin B12. It just says B12.
Okay. Is B12 something you can buy in the store in pill form?
Yes, the particular type that I gave to Shane were little reddish purple colored sublingual, the type that you would chew up and let the powder dissolve under the tongue.
Okay.
And you can buy it at any health food store.
Was Shane also, did you recommend that Shane you continue to use Zima during this training period?
Yes, even though that's not notated on these calendars.
Okay, and also the
Proglycin.
That was what was to be used with the insulin, the next day after the insulin?
Yes, and it's, we sell it to the average consumer who uses it post-workout as well.
Okay. Now, if we go to the 30th, we have, if you go, you see E, and then there's 2 little marks and I. What does the I stand for?
Insulin.
Okay, and what are those 2 little marks?
I don't recall.
Okay, I doesn't stand for iron?
No, because iron is something, this regimen here, I'll explain when we get to page 2, you take iron and vitamin C and folic acid and B12 every day. That's a daily thing.
Okay. Now tell me why it is, to the best of your recollection, that you said that the 30th would be a day that would call for insulin.
To the best of my recollection, Daryl and Shane had talked about that would be a day, I guess, when they would be doing weight training or a type of training where they would use insulin.
So they told you, so this was something that your recollection is now refreshed, that in addition to the other things that were said during this meeting, now you recall that there were discussions as to exactly when they would be taking insulin.
Well,
when they would be doing training.
They likely used it more times than's on the calendar, but this was a time when they discussed that, well, here's what workouts we have planned for next week. This may be a day, and so it got notated.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they couldn't have done it the following Saturday or other days, but...
Do you recall when the discussion about the workouts leading to the need for insulin, at what point in your meetings with Shane and Daryl were you...
I don't recall at what point. I mean, you got to understand, this is 6, almost going on 7 years ago. I mean, I recall to the best of my ability, but exactly at what point in the 3-hour discussion we talked about this issue, trying to, tie me down to the minute, is a very difficult thing for me to tell you.
Do you remember whether it was Daryl or Shane who talked to you about when they would be doing weight training?
They did talk between each other at times, and like I say, most of the time Shane took charge and did most of the talking, and if necessary, he included or consulted with Daryl.